Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers Podcast. Why not throw a few gunshots in there? Because it's Ohtani bobblehead night. We don't know what the hell's going on over there. But what is going on, Clint Nation? Happy Thirsty Thursday to y'all. We'll be talking about our drinks in a second. This is a show that is part of the Believe network of podcasts. Subscribe to the show on Believe, on your Apples, on your Spotifys, all those kind of spots. Those things really help out the show. And on today's show, we are talking about Emmet Sheehan. He is out for the season. The Dodgers get back home and immediately drop some terrible news on us. So we'll talk about that. We'll react to the news. We're going to reset the Dodgers pitching plan, kind of look ahead at the potential for a six-man rotation coming up. Even with Sheehan down, Bobby Miller looms. He will be back. Another guy very soon, very close to coming back, is Jason Heyward. So that means there will be one odd man outman on the roster. So we're going to talk about that. We'll look ahead to this Red Series and a whole lot more on another edition of All Dodgers Live as we bring in the chat, as we bring in producer Kevin. It feels like we haven't done one of these in 2 weeks.
Well, I think it's because we haven't done one in 2 weeks.
It's crazy.
Father Time defeats all, but at least you keep him around.
I did have myself a little vacay, a little camping last week, but still bringing you content on the Dodgers territory side of things. Of course, had a good one today. We'll talk more about that a little bit, but I want to know how people are feeling today in the chat. I want to know how you're feeling, Kevin. How's it going, man? We barely talked since before today. How you been?
It was terrible when, believe it or not, it was terrible when the Padres took 2 out of 3, and then it was great when the Dodgers took 2 out of 3 from the Giants. So not that my entire emotional existence and psyche is attached to 26 men wearing white and blue, but it might be.
Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes. And I imagine when you live where you live, it's even worse. You get very tied to men that you don't know or something like that. I don't know. But baseball is fun, guys.
Bellinger's here. I know him, kind of.
Hey, guys, sound off in the chat as well. Kevin will be chatting in the chat while we're also all chatting here on the show. Subscribe to the channel if you would not mind. That goes a long way in helping out the channel. Hitting that thumbs up button on the video as well goes a long way. But the subscribe thing is huge. It's cool. We're trying to get to 7,000 subscribers, and I'm going to finally, I keep saying it, we're going to finally start dropping some shorter videos, some shorter content, and we'll make some more things happen during the week. But first, or third, fifth, I don't know. I've said first a few times. I got to tell you guys about Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for all of your summer sports this season. From MLB to golf to NBA, NHL playoffs, you get all the latest stats. You get news. You get all the scores. They are all available. You can follow your favorite teams there on their app, on their website. Get the latest odds, lines, including your latest team matchups with player props and odds on just about every sport out there. How cool is that? Head to the website today. Use your mobile device. Do a little clickety-clack. Get in there. Get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. And where this show is going to start is we should probably talk about this Emmet Sheehan thing before we get too knee deep into the chat here, but we are going to talk to folks in the chat as Orlando's talking about pari. It's pari for Sheehan. I don't know if you're doing the remember that one old video, like my pari are with the children, or I can't explain it. It's old YouTube. It's very, very old stuff. But
I was around at the birth of YouTube, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's How Is Babby Formed. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, I'll stop wasting everybody's time and let's talk about Emmet Sheehan, guys. He is done for the season. Goes down with the Tommy John surgery. They called it, the Dodgers term it UCL surgery. Essentially, it's Tommy John. I think all the beat reporters
Dave
confirmed that
said
one.
It was Tommy John.
Okay, Dave,
but
now
he doesn't know the specifics,
which could mean there's either an internal brace procedure in there as well. I mean, initially the plan was, the expectation was that Sheehan was going to come back this year, so it might not have been a full tear. And if it's a partial grade tear, this is something that he could come back from a little bit sooner. They do that primary revision. They don't even need to, kind of pilfer another ligament or a piece of his hamstring or forearm or wherever the hell they're going to get it from, they could kind of reattach the original ligament and then use that internal brace. But we don't know the specifics of it. All we know is that he is done for the season. Did go to the best guy in the business for it, Dr. Neil Elitrash, team physician for the Dodgers. But what I want to know, and I'll ask all of you guys and Kevin as well, how big of a blow is this to this Dodgers team? I want your thoughts on it.
I actually don't think it changes much of anything. I know it's not the sexy answer. It's not what you want to hear. But I don't think in the long term, I think Sheehan would have been a luxury in the long term, I guess is the best way of putting it. He's like, if you look at the rotation right now, today, it's Glasnow, Yamamoto, Buehler, Stone, Paxton. That's 5 guys. Miller's coming back. Bobby's big game Bobby, if you want to call him that. He's coming back soon. And then you have Yarbrough and that swing man. So that's already like, let's say 6.5 guys down the line. Clayton Kershaw is going to be back. And then as, pitching coach for the Dodgers, Mark Pryor, talked to Clint Pasillas earlier. They do expect Dustin May back in some capacity. What that looks like, they don't know. So we don't know. So I don't actually think this matters too much for the Dodgers. It's just unfortunate for Emmet Sheehan, who really could have used this year as, I don't know how many more chances he's going to have to be the 5th man in a rotation.
That's it. That's a really good point right there. I would say, yeah, I agree with that pretty wholeheartedly. I don't think this affects the plan majorly, mainly because of what Gavin Stone has done for this team this year. And we also saw the kind of, I will call it an emergence, because he almost fell off the face of the cliff when you're talking about prospects wise. But Landon Knack did have a nice showing while a big leaguer, a couple of nice starts under his belt. So he is somebody that fills in for that Emmet Sheehan role when this team does need some, starting pitching depth along the way, which we know it will. But more help is on the way, because Bobby Miller is not that far away. So that's where we got to talk about. How does it affect the plan, the pitching plan moving forward for this team? And again, another one of those things, I'll agree with you. I don't think it affects the plan very, very much, mainly because of the emergence of Gavin Stone in this case, because, entering spring training, that was going to be Emmet Sheehan's spot. He was going to be that number 5 guy. He was going to be the guy that buys time for Walker Buehler until he returns. But now it became Stoner, and Stoner has taken off and has become, I don't know about a surprise, but considering he had a 9 ERA last year, maybe it is a surprise that he's actually doing this well. But Bobby Miller, not that far away. We'll talk about him in a second. I do want to get into the chat. Clayton Kershaw, we probably 3-4 months away. He is throwing. And as Kevin noted, Dustin May. But let's talk to the chat a little bit here before we get in more into resetting the pitching plan here. I see Diane Schroeder hanging out in the chat saying, hello, Clint Nation. What's going on, Diane? Always good to see you. Queen Diane, queen of the All Dodgers chant and of Clint Nation here. Bob Student 10 says, what the F, had to be serious, heal up Emmet. So, hit that thumbs up button for Emmet Sheehan. Show him some love that way. I think we'll use that one.
It was something where I do think it was kind of that revision procedure, because even the other day, or maybe it was late last week, Dave said that he was throwing long toss. He had worked his long toss back. It was just how he's recovering. I don't think if it was a true tear or a true problem that they would have even allowed him to throw. They would have just gotten him the surgery. So I think there was, maybe a partial tear, or it really was just inflammation and it was close. I think this is something closer to what Corey Seager had back in the day, where he had that internal brace. He was one of the first. I think it's closer to that more than it is a true tear. It just came off the bone.
Yeah, this considering, I think they really just took advantage of the situation, took advantage of the season, and it's hey, I'd rather get him a whole new-ish elbow before anything super crazy. Mr. Classic pointing out, Clayton Kershaw says he's feeling better after surgery. I'm very excited. You and I had a little bit of a conversation via text where we disagreed maybe on Clayton Kershaw coming back from surgery, and you were talking about who were you talking about again coming back from injury?
Oh God, I
I know we drink a lot.
I know we had a few, beverages, as we're, prone to do. Coming back from shoulder injury, you look at guys like, Brewstar Gratterall was the guy that like is the big one that comes to mind with me for shoulder injuries, because that trade was almost nixed entirely because of his shoulder. And
well, one version of it was for sure.
Yeah, exactly. One version of it was. And then there was another player last year, or no, 2 years ago, that I cannot remember his name for the life of me. Wow. Okay, hold on. I'll figure it out. I'll find it out.
We were talking Chris Sale. You had mentioned Chris Sale, and
yes.
I kind of had the hey, I'm hoping kind of the same, because Chris Sale for the Braves, I was like, what kind of trade is this for the Braves? They're supposed to be contenders, and this guy's been MIA for a few seasons, as where Kershaw was maybe, he was definitely heading towards an all-star berth before that injury, maybe in Cy Young contention, until that shoulder fell apart on him completely. Kershaw with a rebuilt shoulder excites me more, I think, than others. But considering over the course of his career, and I kind of, and having a conversation with Fabian Ardaya of The Athletic on Dodgers territory a couple weeks ago, he shat on my kind of opinion of Kershaw as being somebody who reinvents himself, which, thinking about what Fabian said, I do agree. It's always been the same. It's fastball, slider, and mixing a curve, and there's your Clayton Edward Kershaw. But the difference is he's always had to adjust to the injury. He's always had to adjust to the body kind of changing, and that's where the reinvention of Kershaw comes in. So now the idea of him being able to reinvent himself with a new rebuilt shoulder excites me as much as Chris Sale doing his things, the things he's doing right now, maybe excites you.
Yeah, I didn't voice it on this channel, but I was texting one of my friends that I think Chris Sale will actually, as long as he stays healthy, could very well get top 3 Cy Young votes. He's just so filthy. It's so nasty. He throws from such a weird arm slot from like the wrong side of like the slab. So he's
a weird one to watch.
It's so crazy, and it's uncomfortable from a right-handed batter's perspective. It's even more uncomfortable if you're left-handed, because that ball looks like it's about to hit you. So
that's how you know it's good.
It's great. He's a great pitcher when he's healthy. I just hope that Kershaw, because Sale doesn't have to reinvent himself. He just has to stay healthy. Kershaw, He does for a little bit. That shoulder is like, his curveball is going to be impacted by his shoulder just by the natural throwing motion.
Yeah.
So will it be as effective? We don't know. We obviously don't need to worry about velocity. That guy hasn't thrown 95 in 5 years, and that's okay. We've loved, we've learned with a 91 mile an hour, 88 mile an hour fastball from him. So
live, love, Kersh, I think is what we're saying here, and I'm gonna get that tattooed on my ass if the Dodgers win the World Series. So clip that.
Yes.
Clip that. Somebody. We got some love here in the chat for Kershaw. Mr. Classic saying Kershaw coming back for sure, and I don't know how we kind of devolved or evolved into talking Clayton Kershaw coming off of Emmet Sheehan stuff, but it'd be like that sometimes. We love Kersh. Nando 390 says Kershaw shoulder surgery improved his fastball from 88 to 89. Damn, look at that. That's big time velo from Kersh. Let's see. Yeah, Kersh. Diane with some congratulations to her. She throws a $10 super chat our way because she is rolling in the bennies, as the kids probably don't say, because she sold her listing today. It's so great being on my own, just like you, Clint, is what Diane says. And that's awesome. Congratulations, guys. Give some love in the chat for Diane for killing the game, kicking some ass, and taking names. That's all I got.
No, it's good stuff. You love to see that. Love people going out doing their own thing and succeeding. I mean, selling listings hard, especially interest rates. Somebody who's looked at houses recently.
Yeah, don't do that. It's a bad idea. Yeah, it's a real bad idea. But
only way to be sadder is to be a Padres fan right now,
bruh. Hey, remember that time they won the World Series of May, and then they went and got swept by the powerhouse Rockies?
Hey, they're on a heater.
They're on a heater. I mean, before then, they were doing good. They had won 4 series in a row with that Dodger series, and then whoop, whoop.
I think the funny part, I don't know if it's funny, it's sad, is the Rockies are on this 8-game win streak at this point, and Chris Bryant is not even on the roster, and they paid him so much money. And then you think about the fact that they paid the Cardinals to take Nolan Arenado from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what is happening over there?
Dick Monfort is an absolute moron when it comes to running a baseball organization, having money.
Great name, though. Fantastic name.
Hey, great for baseball, too, at least other baseball teams. But, guys, let's get back into talking about resetting the pitching plan. So now we know Emmet Sheehan not on the table for the Dodgers this year. So, again, we've said it a few times already. It doesn't affect the immediate pitching plan because he was, by all accounts, probably down to like 7 or 8, maybe even 9 on the depth chart. If he were to be healthy at this point in time, I think they might trust Landon Knack before they trust him, just because we haven't seen much Emmet Sheehan. But you do have guys coming back along the way. We have Bobby Miller, who's maybe a week to 10 days away. Yeah. If not a little bit sooner. I don't think they rush him. There is zero reason to rush him at this point. Let him be healthy. Let him be able to stay healthy through the entirety of the season. They're doing just fine. I think we all would like to see fewer TBDs in the starting rotation, but that will come soon enough. Again, we already talked a lot about Kershaw. We're still 3-4 months away from any substantial Kershaw updates, maybe 2.5-3 months away from the start of some rehab or something like that. But Dustin May, we will talk more of May in a second. We can talk about Dustin May right now because I got a little bit of we'll call it a sneak peek update from Dodgers pitching coach Mark Pryor today about Dustin May, who he's all in on D May. He's one of those guys who knows that he could fill in for this team in any role. And one of the things he told me was, hey, when he gets healthy, whatever his role is going to be is what the team needs at that point in the season. And that's a good spot for D May to be in. That's a good spot for the Dodgers to be in. So let's hear from Mark Pryor a little bit here about Dustin May. We got another question from the chat here popping up. Nando390, another one of the great names, friend here on the channel.
Shout out Nando390.
Mr. Pryor, will we see Dustin May this year, and will it be in a spot starter role out of the bullpen? What's the latest with D May, and what's kind of the organization expecting for him?
Yeah, I think we see D May in some capacity this year. He's throwing bullpens. Right now, and when and where. I think that's obviously a big kind of a TBD right now, and whether it's a starter, whether it's a spot starter, whether it's some sort of long relief role. This is kind of one of our just general philosophies. We know where we're at right now. We don't know where we're going to be in a couple months, so some of it just depends on what our personnel is and where he's at in his rehab and his health, and as well as he's pitching. I think that obviously plays an important part, especially at that time of season, is what his performance is like. But I do think we see him in some capacity this year. Just we don't know where we're going to be in a couple months, and who's obviously we expect everybody to be healthy, but we also understand that the game is a game of attrition, and we're going through it right now with some of our guys. So some of it will be just depending on where we're at with our pitching, and but I think we see him in some capacity because when he's healthy and when he's right, there's no question his stuff. As good as anybody's in the game. And I think we expect him to get back fully healthy. And when he does, we'll see where he's at, and he'll fit into the fold where he's needed probably most. But I would see him in some sort of starting type role, or maybe even a long relief type role, maybe initially to kind of reacclimate him. And then we'll see where he's at. He's another one who hasn't obviously pitched a little bit last year, but hasn't pitched a ton over these last few years. So there's going to be a little bit of just kind of getting used to things again and seeing where everything's at and how it's playing.
So in the offseason, I was talking about D-Man, and this was before you were a part of the wonderful All Dodgers family here. But I had some content out about Dustin May, and my thought is his body clearly cannot hold up to the rigors of being a starting pitcher. And he doesn't really have the pitch mix to be a dominant starting pitcher an extended, over the course of a long season, long career and all that. I don't know if he has the pitch mix, considering he has a fastball and a fastball and a fastball and a little bit of a slider that started getting a little bit better. Doesn't like throwing the curveball too much. I think that kind of pitch mix, that amount of repertoire plays up very well in a bullpen role, in a relief role, in a potential future closer, or I mean, we're gonna have Evan Phillips around for a while, so maybe more of a setup guy. But what do you think is the best role? I want your thoughts and opinion on it. Where do you think D-May should fit in the long term, and where do you think he ends up in the short term this season, if and when he comes back?
I think in the short term, when he comes back, he will be a long reliever. He'll kind of take over that Ryan Yarbrough spot, that 2, 3, 4 inning kind of guy that they just say, hey, we're going to give you a set amount of innings tonight. You can empty the tank at the 3rd inning and you're good to go. And the long term, once Evan Phillips isn't really in the picture, maybe he fits into that. I do hope that he adjusts his throwing motion. Maybe he gets behind the ball, puts on more muscle, something to allow his body to sustain what he's doing. Because what he throws is disgusting, but it's really only one pitch. It's just the sinker. It's that just like devilish sinker that just that makes Manny Machado look like he did. Like, what was that?
What is it? 21 inches of run or something like that.
It's something
an
crazy.
Absurd sinker, but
it is.
You can't get away with just that. And we've always seen he doesn't have the strikeout numbers as well.
No, he doesn't. And that's something that is surprising for someone with his stuff, with somebody who can throw like 98, 97 with that kind of movement. So maybe they do tell him to like focus down onto 2 pitches and say, hey, you just got to get Ks with this stuff. On the flip side, I would like them to try and get him to be more of a pitcher, because if you have one pitch, and we saw this with Walker Buehler, he only had one pitch. It was a 4-seam fastball that was just disgusting.
Yeah.
But everything else played off it so well that he got strikeouts and he got so much production out of it. I would love to see them maybe tinker with his, maybe he's somebody that's a candidate for like tinker with his pitch mix. Maybe a candidate for a sweeper. So you can get something moving left and right. And then he doesn't have to throw as hard, because he doesn't have to throw like a really hard sinker and a 4-seam. It can be a sinker slider combination with a curve and a change mixed in there. Yeah. Something like that. I'd like to see it, but I do think, to answer your question, short term, I do think it's a long relief role. And if they can't figure it out long term, he's just going to be like the best closer in baseball, probably.
I mean, he has the stuff to do it. And you know what? That is a job that will get you paid if you are an elite closer. I agree with you. Also, you mentioned, his kind of mechanics, the way he throws. It does limit him a lot in his ability to kind of go north and south. We know he's going to be very much an east and west kind of guy when it comes to the movement of his pitches. So you would want to see maybe him mixing in a split finger or something like that. But that's not very, and even a changeup, it's not super conducive to the way he throws. We did see, another fastball get into the mix, that cut fastball that did help him. But I agree, a cutter or a sweeper would be nice, just because it I think it simplifies the curveball slider mix for him. But we got some people in the chat we got to get to. Michael Carrillo talking about Dustin May, also agreeing with you, saying he is far too skinny. Yeah, he is a razor thin boy for being, 6'5", 6'6". He's a lot of man, but a little bit of dude on there. Carrillo also said, no way is May going to be a long reliever in there. Nando 390 says D-May for closer or setup man, which I'm all about. Importantly, my guy, Richard Flores, $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Richard. He is at Dodger Stadium. He did tweet the show earlier while they were on the way to Dodger Stadium, and he says it is a total shit show at Dodger Stadium. Who would have thought that Ohtani bobblehead night would have been a total shit show? Because I couldn't have predicted that a few times on the internet. But anyway, also, we got a $2 super chat from Vince Rodriguez for the Clint and Kevin's Modelo Fund, and we appreciate you for that, Vince. By the way, Kev, are you drinking? We didn't talk about that. This is Thirsty Thursday. What are you drinking?
I got a highball, which in the industry means whiskey and soda.
That's fair. You know what? You took my usual drink. I decided to try something a little bit different, or mainly because I finally got vodka in the home bar again. I made I know it has a real name. Me and the missus were just talking about it, but anyways, it's vodka cran, because I felt like being something.
That's the real name.
Is it?
That's the real name. Yeah. If you want to add some lime juice and a little bit of triple sec, then it's a Cosmo.
Maybe not the triple sec. Cosmo seems a little effeminate for me.
They're delicious.
All right, I mean, you talked me into it, but
so good.
this is let's see, hold on, 1, 2, 3, and then also 4, and then this is like a lot in a row of me drinking, accidentally.
Scientific count right there.
So if you think about it, then you're not an alcoholic. But I'm trying not to be too cray when it comes to the booze. But appreciate you guys, jumping in the chat, dropping some super chats in there. Very, very kind, very, very nice of you. And I did see somebody asked us earlier, what are we drinking? And I forgot to respond. Diana does not a Thirsty Thursday for her, so we're going to have to make sure we drink for her.
Just sold your listing. How is it not a Thirsty Thursday? That has to be the thirstiest of Thursdays.
Listen, the grind does not stop when you're at the top of your game. Good.
Trust me, at the top, it is not lonely.
Good question here. Good segue into more of what we're kind of talking about here, and something else I wanted to talk about from Metabolic Holic. Says, are we okay taking an L every 6th start if it helps save bullpen arms? And if so, who's the best choice? Is it Eliezer Hernandez, who had a nice enough outing yesterday, or Landon Knack?
Great outing.
Well, all things considered, it was fine. On paper, it's still 3 runs over 6 innings, which is a 4.5 ERA, which back in my day was not that good.
With this bullpen, you take that every day.
It's fair.
With how good this bullpen is, you take 6 over 3.
The innings was massive for this team. But of the currently healthy guys on this team, as we kind of look towards the return of Bobby Miller soon enough, okay, we know on the out, Sheehan is out. Gonsolin are out for the year. Those are the guarantees that are out for the year. Nick Frasso, a name some folks might know, some folks might not. He is another one who is out for the year. But the currently healthy guys, you got Walker Buehler, who with the Sheehan injury, in my opinion, becomes a little bit more important to this squad. He was always going to be massively important, but I'm saying that you're just adding like a hair more importance when it comes to butane. Another one of the things, one of the opinions that popped in my head, James Paxton signing that much more magnified with an injury like Sheehan suffered here, because this was a team that was going to, or he's a guy that this team was going to rely on, Sheehan, this season. So Paxton, agree or disagree, that much more important of a signing following Sheehan, or are they just unrelated?
I think they were unrelated, at least in my opinion. When they signed Paxton, I was really happy when they got him, because I wanted Shota over Paxton. I wanted the lefty, and Shota was, I know I don't have to go too far into that one, but I knew out of the lefties that were going to be reasonably cheap. I was like, give me Shota. I think he's going to be great. He has been. But with Paxton, I saw that signing. I was like, perfect. He's going to eat innings as long as he's healthy. But for what the medicals had revealed, at least to the Dodgers and his like recent history, he is healthy. So as long as he's there, he'll eat innings. He'll give you I expected a low 4s, high 3 ERA guy that is just going to give you, they'll just leave him out to dry every 5th, 6th day and just go, okay, figure it out. And he's exceeded all expectations. So I don't think it's any more important with Emmet Sheehan. I agree that the Walker Buehler coming back, it's a little more important, but only a little. And I would hope that the organization doesn't put any more pressure on Buehler in any way, given this signing. Not that I think they will, or at least I hope he doesn't put any more pressure on himself, because
that's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
We know he's an ultra competitor. That's what all Dodger fans, including myself, love about him. So I just hope he doesn't feel the need to go 6-7 innings if he can't. He needs to find himself again. And you know what? If Walker Buehler turns into the every 6th day bullpen game, more or less, I'm fine with that, as long as he figures out what he needs to figure out, because it's kind of a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's still so damn early for butane. I'm not selling my stock on him yet. I said on DT a couple weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, which is a couple, that, give me 6 starts before I really form any true opinion of Walker Buehler in this current form. I think he can get back to something close to what he was with the velo he's showcasing. Yeah, we probably won't see 99, but living in that 96 to 98 range will play up for him. But anyways, so we're talking about the loss of Sheehan, you're talking about. I've seen some people talk about the Dave punting a game with the bullpen day. Of course, that was against Logan Webb.
It had nothing to do with the bullpen.
And nothing. Yeah, I would say very little. That Logan Webb is going to be on his game because he's angry. I think he did not pitch well against the Dodgers last time through, so he wants to beat this team quite bigly. But circling back. That was just something I wanted to throw out there, but before we get fully into the idea of the sixth potential 6-man rotation, which appears to be coming very, very soon, as I keep continuing to tease Bobby Miller, I did want to talk a little bit more about somebody we talked a whole lot about today on Dodgers territory, and that is Gavin Stone, who, in my opinion, is by far, maybe not by far, is, I would say, the most unsung hero, the most important part of this Dodgers rotation, because the expectations heading into the season were minimal. We've kind of already touched around this a little bit, but how the importance that this guy has had as he sort of figured it out this year after posting a 9 ERA last year. My question is, where would this team be without Stone this season? But anyways, as I kind of set up the question leading into the Mark Pryor chat on DT today, I'm happy to report that Pryor agreed with everything I had said leading up into it, and agreeing with the semblance or the kind of setup that, Stone is arguably one of the more important parts of this team, or important unsung heroes of this team, just because of the minimal expectations coming into the season. Yeah, they had high expectations, but he hadn't proved out yet at the big league level. Anyways, I'm stalling. I just want to play the clip. Here's some Mark Pryor talking Gavin Stone for y'all.
Hit it on the head. I mean, he's been great for us. I mean, he's definitely stepped in and picked up. Not only has he had quality outings, he's gone deep into games, multiple times, 6, 7 innings. I think his outing against the Padres, I believe it was a few weeks ago at home, getting into the 7th, carrying a no-hitter deep into that game, into the 5th or 6th inning. It's been impressive, and Gavin, to his credit, last year, obviously from a performance standpoint, was a little rough. He had a big minor league year the previous year, and then came up last year for some spot starts, and it wasn't a natural progression of, hey, he had a good minor league outings and then he came up and he got roughed up. And to his credit, he kind of reinvented himself and really mastered, being able to have a 4 or 5 pitch mix, command the bottom of the strike zone, and, basically chew through hitters when his stuff's on. And I think that's what you've seen in the last 3-4 starts, is somebody who, attacks hitters, balls moving left and right. Occasionally he'll go up on a guy. But he gets outs, and I think he's been great for us, and he's got a great demeanor, and a lot of work that he put into this offseason showed up in spring training. And I know, there's been a lot of injuries, and you referenced, his opportunity. But Gavin's been throwing the ball extremely well all year. I mean, he had a very dominant spring, and he was in the hunt for that last spot, whether those injuries happened or not, because we feel very confident in the way he can throw the ball.
What's funny about that chat with Pryor is internally in my brain, I was really fighting, asking him about the latest with Emmet Sheehan. Had I just fucking threw that out there, I might have broken.
Wouldn't have known. There's no way.
Well, the surgery happened yesterday, right?
I thought it said today.
Was it today? I'm sure he would. He's the pitching coach. He should know if one of his pitchers is about to undergo the knife. But anyways, that was part of a really, really good conversation with Mark Pryor. Been doing this baseball thing for a long time. I've talked to a lot of people
it was yesterday.
In and around the Dodgers organization, in and around baseball. I would argue that the convo I had with Alana and I had with Pryor today was my favorite of any of them I've ever done. So if that means anything to you guys, go check it out on the Dodgers Territory YouTube channel. It's also on your Apple podcast platforms. It's on Spotify and all that kind of stuff. Check it out. And I have a link to that video here on the All Dodgers YouTube channel. But it was fun, and I appreciate this guy texted me about it, saying it was a really good interview as well, because I felt it. And I went into that interview kind of like, before. It happens often for me doing this, where Like you just see like no sale signs in your eyes, like you're just, your brain isn't into it, and then the lights turn on and the live button goes on, and you're like, all right, fucking, I'm all in. And then just kind of having a conversation with Dodgers pitching coach Mark Pryor. It's not like oh my god, it's like, no, this is a dude I want to have several drinks with and just talk pitching with, like, until the cows come home, as the kids say.
Yeah, and I think part of that has to do with, because he is the pitching coach for the Dodgers, Dave isn't exactly. It depends on who you ask or what the context is, but he's not exactly the most wordy, or at least he's not the most forthcoming about it. But without giving too much away with what Pryor said, all of his answers were detailed with stuff that we necessarily knew, but with a nuance that maybe we didn't think about it. And it was kind of refreshing to just get some just like bold-faced honesty, which is not something that we get a lot out of this organization. I mean, even from the player level, you're just kind of going to get pretty chalk answers. You ask a guy about a swing. I saw a good pitch, put a good swing on it. Kind of like you're going to hear from everybody. So he gave a refreshing level of honesty that, listening to it, you just want more of.
Yeah. I definitely wanted more, and hopefully we can get him back on the show soon enough. Or this one,
this one would be great.
I don't know. I gave up a long time ago on doing interviews. I lost my luster for them. That's why I just gave them all to Doug. Back in the day, I started doing that, and it was easier for me.
You just gotta find the right one.
You gotta find the right boy to talk to on the internet, guys. If you guys enjoy listening to these boys talk about Dodger baseball here on the internet,
hit it on the head. I mean, he's
that's Mark. You're not supposed to be coming back to us. Sorry, he's back. I pushed the button. It was almost a really, really good segue, but even so, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying anything that's happening. I should also probably tell you that we have a Patreon page, patreon.com/realfrg. If you're looking for a different way to support what we're doing here, support independent Dodgers coverage for much, much less than the price of Michelada at Dodger Stadium, and much less than the price of a Shohei Ohtani bobblehead that's available on the open market. Check it out. Patreon.com/realfrg is a couple things. You get access to the voicemail hotline and stuff like that, and we have the Discord where, can we say maybe in June new cool things coming to Discord?
I got to work on some things this weekend. My fiance is out of town, so I'll have kind of the weekend to myself to
party
work on
at
a couple
Kevin's.
things. Yeah, party at my. Yeah, let's go.
I'm on my way.
The old ball and chain's not here. She totally can't hear me. I should hopefully be able to work on some
kitchen's behind you.
weekend.
We're gonna see the knife and
it just emerges out of the shadows.
All right, so guys, let's move in. We've teased it a whole bunch, but let's talk about this potential for 6-man starting rotation for the Dodgers, because Bobby Miller is closing in on a return, and we could be nearing the end of times for bullpen games for these Dodgers, which I think a lot of fans these days are excited about. People appear to be pretty tired of bullpen games, particularly for a team that went out and committed $1.3 billion to players this offseason, to still be seeing bullpen games. I can understand the frustration. But you have a healthy Yamamoto, you have a healthy Tyler Glasnow, you have a healthy Gavin Stone, who is also crushing, as we already talked about. James Paxton, who he's outperforming his numbers for sure. It helps to have the best defense in baseball.
Don't look at his FIP. Just don't do it.
Do not look at his FIP. Do not look at a few of these guys' FIP. And Walker Buehler, of course, on the come, on the mend, whatever it may be. But beyond that, Bobby Miller is somebody that we said will be back in the next week to 10 days if all goes well. Hopefully Kershaw not too far behind him. This was a conversation we had in the offseason too. I had on a few of these live streams. Do we think it will be time for 6-man rotation? And I want your thoughts on it. Do you think it'll be a true 6-man, or is it going to be some weird amalgamation of like 5.5-man rotation?
Bullpen games will never go away. As long as
I have a button for that.
This organization loves bullpen games as much as I love whiskey, which is a lot. But I do think it'll be closer to a 6-man rotation. I do think, to an extent, they're going to utilize Ryan Yarbrough in that swingman role. Maybe he's not getting 4 innings in one day, but you might see him getting like 2 across 2 days. I think Walker Buehler's days will effectively be a pseudo bullpen game, or they'll at least utilize their bullpen arms around that day. Because Glasnow can go deep. Yamamoto can go, okay, anyway. Yamamoto can get, late into games. Gavin Stone can. We've seen James Paxton can if he's not throwing a lot of balls. So that being said, with how they're trying to build up Walker Buehler and what he needs to work with, I do think they'll kind of utilize that as pseudo bullpen days. But I do think ultimately it is going to be a 6-man rotation with Yarbrough kind of eating up a little bit more bulk innings, and then, the high leverage guys being used when they need to at this point.
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen, and one of the questions I wanted to throw to the chat here is we got some people talking about, the situation. Johnny Owen says, I'd be more excited about a fully healthy pitching staff, which this team is still pretty far away from seeing when you're talking about the totality of the bullpen and starting rotation in there. The starting rotation health is a bit more advanced than the bullpen. Not far away from getting Phillips back, from getting Joe Kelly back. The way the Dodgers treat injuries and talk about injuries, I do worry a whole fuck ton more about Brusdar Gratterall at this point in time, because we just keep getting that pushback and pushback and pushback. So you hope the best for Bazooka. Thankfully, we've had some dudes step up in the bullpen so far. Maybe give a little love to Michael Grove, even though the numbers aren't pretty, and even though he lost that game in San Diego on the walk-off to Luis Ariz. He's still been very, very good for the greater part. In a bullpen role, all you really, really want is people to, more often than not allow runs to score when they come in. And Sheehan's friend Michael Grove has been very good at that, in my opinion. But
no, he's been great. They just needed for that game in particular, they needed to see what they had in him. Could he do it? It was a big ask. And you know what? He didn't rise to the challenge, and that's okay. They'll give him another one. Believe it or not, he's going to show up in the 9th inning later in the season, and we'll see what he does at that moment. But they needed to see what they had.
Yeah, and I mean, Luis Ariz is arguably the best bat-to-ball guy in baseball right now. And
Maybe
Grove isn't necessarily the most he gets some strikeouts, but he telegraphs his either 97 or hammer slider, and they're probably going to go slider a lot. And this is somebody, Luis Ariz, that can adjust to that kind of stuff. So it was kind of almost doomed from the start. But I wasn't. This just like my friend Tim Rogers, SD Dodger Tim, or now Dodgers 2080. I forgot he changed his handle. Tim 2080, whatever the hell it is. You guys know Tim. He put out a video about it saying, I'm not mad at Grove in that situation, but even so, this is not about Grove. This is more about the entirety of this pitching staff and what we're seeing right now. And it being, whether or not they will go with a true 5-man rotation or 6-man rotation or some version of it. That's kind of a question I have here is, are the Dodgers being too protective of this pitching staff right now? And it's sort of a double-edged question, because pitchers are going deeper into games than we've seen from a Dodger staff in a long time. At least that's what the eye test tells me. That's what my gut feeling tells me. They're going more often deeper into games at this point. But they're also getting more days off. Like even Glasnow was supposed to pitch against Logan Webb, did not, got the pushback to today because they wanted to buy him more time. We know Yamamoto isn't pitching every 5th day. They're giving more time to Paxton, which is something he said after signing with the team, is that he kind of got gassed in Boston when they had to ride his ass. Big Maple is pretty old at this point in time. Stone is somebody who can go every 5th. Glasnow probably should, but do we argue? Would you say they're being too protective, or do you kind of like what you're seeing sans bullpen games?
I actually do like what I'm seeing. So after Glasnow's last start, so take that into context, however many games the Dodgers have played versus the rest of the league, he led the league in innings pitched, which terrifies me. If you told me Tyler Glasnow was leading MLB in innings pitched, I'd say they're using him too much, and I hope his elbow isn't falling off the bone come October.
One note about that, he does have one extra start over everybody because he did start in Korea.
Exactly. That's what I said. Given in context of what, the Dodgers versus everybody else. But that being said, you got to group of guys that kind of need, a little extra TLC. Now, Glasnow's injury prone. Yamamoto's used to a 6-man rotation. Paxton's injury prone. Walker Buehler's coming off another, Tommy John surgery. The only guys that really haven't had serious injury histories in the past and knock on everything are Gavin Stone and Bobby Miller, but Bobby Miller just sat out for the better part of a month.
Yeah.
So
take him out of that one.
yeah, take him out of that one. But still, I don't think they're being too careful, because at the end of the day, this isn't about the regular season. It's about October. It's about getting these guys to October healthy. And I don't care if Glasnow doesn't meet the required innings mark for Cy Young or various awards. I just want that dude healthy, ready to go game 1 of the NLDS or whatever the hell, maybe they end up wild card. I doubt it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I want. I just want this rotation ready, lined up, and healthy, because for the last 2 years that has bit this team in the ass. It's really annoying.
Yeah, I very much appreciate how this front office has sort of plotted out the way they're using the starting rotation, the way they're using the bullpen, and even bullpen days, which again, they are annoying, but they're a necessary evil at this point in time. Dodgers already have a 7.5 game lead as of the time we are talking right now. Maybe that's changed. I don't know if anybody's played at this point. Might be 7, whatever. They have a 7 or 7.5 game lead or an 8 game lead at the moment we are speaking. And
7.5, yeah.
It's May 16th. You don't win championships here. You could lose them here, but you don't win them in May. You need to keep the starting rotation as healthy and as viable as possible, as dialed in as possible up until October. So buying them that extra time, and yeah, if somebody like Glasnow is leading the league in or in innings, he's also doing it pretty, as somebody said in the chat, pretty fucking efficiently as well. As I decided to be a very potty mouth today. Damn you, vodka. But anyways, no, he's doing it extremely efficiently and dominantly at the same time. He's getting innings, but he's not really. They're not a lot of stressful innings and all that stuff. So it hasn't been a huge burden to him. The same with Yamamoto. Even for the most part, he's out after 80 some odd, 89 to 95 pitches. The regular unregularity, Dave is taking him out, and he's another dude going every 6 or 7 days or whatever. So I think Bobby Miller, keep just adding him to the mix here, goes a long way for this team. You're mixing in some version of a 6-man rotation. You can keep 1 or 2 guys on regular rest, keep moving people along, and that just helps leaps and bounds when we're talking about getting a team into October, deep into October, keeping them healthy, keeping them alive, and ideally avoiding some of the issues that we've seen over the last 3 postseasons with this team, where they just plainly run out of pitching.
Yeah, that's always gonna be even though the offense went quiet the last 2 years, that's always gonna be the big black mark is, Kershaw couldn't get out of the first inning. Bobby Miller couldn't. They started Lance Lynn the year before that. You had just another slew. Julio couldn't do it either. It was just, it's been tough. And I think even in the Bobby Miller game last year, if the offense could get going even a little bit, it makes a huge difference. But the pitching needs to keep them in the game ultimately.
Yeah.
And I think this staff, if health considered, if they can do that, you can bet on all these. You can't bet on all of them to go cold again.
Yeah.
You just can't. I don't care if you tell me Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, all these guys are going to go cold. I'd say no. And even after last year, I'd make the same bet again. You can't give up 6 runs in the first inning or the first 2 innings. So it's all about October. I love how they've handled the early part of this season. Maybe 6 years ago, bullpen games were the bane of this team's existence, but it's not that way anymore. They have serious offensive firepower. So you can sustain, a bullpen game once a week, even if Walker Buehler's starting it.
Yeah, if we're at a point where it's like every week and a half, 2 weeks, I'm okay with that. I think that does go a long way. Once a week might be a little bit much. I would again rather see the untraditional 6-man rotation, which is essentially what you're talking about with Buehler acting as a bulk man in an opener role, which is what they used to call a starting pitcher, but we're just using the fancy lingo and the fancy terms here. Anyways, guys, got a couple more things to hit on before we get out of here. I thought I turned you off, stupid ass thing, but hey, the Patreon thing popped back up, so go check it out if you guys want.
Do it. It goes to the Modelo Fund.
Goes to the Modelo Fund. This is and I bought a new light, so that helps as well. I could adjust it.
Modelo, if you need sponsors, just have your people talk to my people, and we'll figure it out.
It is Modelo time, fool. No, it's really. I'm just gonna cut that. Anyways,
I was gonna say somewhere.
It's Modelo time somewhere. Anyways, we do have Modelo Mondays, but as we near the end of today's show, we got to talk about the latest with Jason Heyward, who is at Dodger Stadium today, is ready to be activated after missing 7 weeks with a back injury. It seems like he's ready to go. They're just kind of kicking the can down the road another day or two before making that uncomfortable decision. The front office doesn't want to make the decision. Dave Roberts doesn't want to have to pull somebody into his office and say, "Hey, you're going back to AAA," or "Hey, you're going on the injured list." Wink, wink, Chris Taylor. But what is the plan? That is the question for this team. The most obvious is James Outman, because he's been struggling pretty significantly. He hasn't really shown the kind of life that Gavin Lux has shown at the plate. But then again, he's also, I wouldn't call him an elite defender in center field, but he would be arguably the best center fielder on this team right now. So, yeah, Jason Heyward has a number of Gold Gloves under his belt, but he's also, elderly at this point in time at 36 years old. So he's not really somebody you're going to put into center field too much. Andy Pages slowed down with the bat, striking out a lot more, but also isn't necessarily a traditional center fielder. So do you want Outman out of the picture in that case? And then you still have a player that's arguably even worse than him hanging around with Chris Taylor. It's not like if you're taking money out of it and you're taking feelings out of this, it is not a hard decision. It is Chris Taylor, but the guy's still owed $30 million. If you were to cut him, if you were to DFA him and open up that roster spot,
trade him to the Mets.
Or trade him to the Mets, which you would still need to eat a significant amount of that money.
Uncle Stevie's got you.
Uncle Stevie's got the cash to make it happen. Are we fine just saying it's going to be James Outman?
Yeah, it needs to be.
And it's going to be better for him too. He'll be playing every day again.
I don't even think it's necessarily better for him for playing every day. He needs to just find himself at the plate. And what do I mean by that is he walks up to the plate and that kid's in an 0-1 count immediately. He either swings through something way out of the zone, or he just takes a breaking ball in the zone for a strike. He falls behind too fast. He needs to gain a little bit of confidence in that swing again. This isn't go down, you're bad. This is a go down, work on a couple things, and get back to us because we need you, and we've seen what you can do. So I do think it'll be Outman. He has options anyway, so he needs a breather. He needs a little bit of time to
mental reset,
figure a couple things out. Yeah, as Dave would like to put it, mental reset. Do I think Jason Heyward is the best replacement for that? I don't know. The underlying metrics would say no, but kind of, not even kind of at this point, it would take when you take a multiple choice test and you get there's 4 answers and you somehow get an 18%, and the teacher looks at you and go, if you just circled A, you would have gotten 25%. You would have done better. That's kind of where Jason Heyward's at. He would have to try to do worse than Outman at the plate.
Fair.
And so, yes, the Dodgers have had so much success while carrying Outman and CT on the roster. But at the same time, they need to figure out, can these dudes play? And Heyward is one of those guys because he is such an important clubhouse piece. If he can perform, they have to keep him. If he can't, it's easier to sell it to the clubhouse right now. Hey, we got to find something else because it just ain't there. It's easier to do that in May and June than it is in August.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point there. All of these guys, especially the three we're kind of referencing here, they're all important to the clubhouse in some way, shape, or form. I've seen it, firsthand how this team rallies around Chris Taylor. This is a guy who's been here with this club since 2016, an important figure on this club since 2017. So the idea of losing him, I think, would in whatever capacity it would be, it's less of a pain if it is the Phantom IL because he sprained his cuticle or whatever it may be. But he's also quite obviously the worst player on this team right now. He had the swing change that in the offseason did not go well. It was also at the suggestion, like it was under the supervision of the Dodgers. This wasn't just his decision. Like they worked on this together to try to combat the effects of aging and being bad for a few years and developing some bad habits through injuries and all that. And did not work. It has not worked. He looks bad. He looks lost. Has barely been seen in the month of May. So he's already, it's not that big of a deal to lose him if he is going to the injured list and bringing back, Jason Heyward, who we know the jury's out on Heyward. Like we're kind of, talking about there. We don't know how long of a leash he gets when it comes to seeing if he's bad this year. If the clock struck midnight and Cinderella, Heyward Orella lost his ruby slipper or whatever the hell it is, and he's going to be bad. We know how long this team and Dave Roberts will just kind of let dudes be bad for a while. And then with Outman, which is the most obvious guy, again, because he has options. He's not going anywhere, and it would give him more playing time. My guy, Kevin Perez Allen says, call up Jerry Sands, and there's a throwback for everybody. It was appreciated. Jerry Sands. Also, I'll push the boo. But Johnny Owen says CT3 is washed. Mr. Classic says Dave still believes in James Outman. And, you could believe in him, like Kevin was saying here, like on screen Kevin was saying here. You can believe in him while he's at AAA because he's still a part of your club. Get right, get that mental reset, come back and be hopefully a difference maker if needed in a month or two.
I will say on the CT3 topic, trading him 2 years ago would have been one thing. I think it's easier to get rid of him now, and it's no offense to him, but a lot of the guys that were on the team when he was part of that like nucleus in 17 through 21 are gone. JT's not there. Cody's not there. Siegs isn't there. Like there are like a lot of the remnants of that team. It kind of comes down to Muncy, Kirsch, and technically Buehler and Kike. But Kike hasn't been around for the last 2 years, and Buehler hasn't pitched. And, it's a pitching staff versus fielding. Who knows if you know what I mean? So I don't know what that clubhouse impact would be like necessarily. As far as we know, he's pretty reserved. He keeps to himself. But the guys that at least I associate him with aren't there anymore.
His boys, his core is very much gone.
Yeah. Oh, I guess Austin Barnes. He is technically a part of that, but also like in the same boat. So at least if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, if CT can catch, he would still.
Metabolic.
What do you got?
Barnes, yeah.
Metabolic
screamed out Barnes. I was like, yeah, you're right, Barnes.
Bringing up Barnes. I mean, it's easy to forget about Barnes, of course. Johnny Owen, talking about OKC will not fix Outman. He needs major league reps, release CT3. But even in that case, they're still going to need to try to find at-bats for Heyward, for Pages. Teoscar Hernandez is going to be in there every single day. We know Pages still has a few weeks of being in there every single day. If he doesn't turn it around, then, they start to probably take some playing time away from him. So there is a bit of a juggling match, if you will, that this Dave Roberts will need to sort of figure out. What do you got?
I got
a solution?
I got an idea.
I'll allow it.
Okay, so I like slightly teased like trading him to the Mets. What I mean by that is flip him to the Mets because Uncle Steve will actually, because we saw this last year when they traded Verlander to the Rangers. The Mets ended up paying for most of Scherzer to the Rangers.
Scherzer, yeah.
The Mets are taking on, or no, it was Verlander to the Astros. Sorry, it was the other giant.
They all
pitcher
look the
they
same.
signed
I
that
get
didn't
it.
work
Yeah.
out. Yeah. It was Verlander to the Astros. They ended up taking on the Mets, the majority of that contract. In return, they got a prospect for it. What I'm saying is flip CT to the Mets, have them eat a majority of the contract, and then flip prospect somewhere in there. You just basically wipe the book of the Dodgers for CT's contract, get a low-level prospect, trade a decent one, like don't trade like Landon Knack, but like, a mid-level guy to the Mets, and that opens a spot for someone like Miguel Vargas, who
Eventually.
I've said before, I like prospects to get a lot of runway by everyday playing, but because of Vargas's struggles last year, I think you could platoon him with a Heyward. Give him pitches, give him starts against left-handed pitching, allow him to pinch hit against left-handed pitching. Open up that roster spot for him to see big league pitching again, because he's tearing it up at AAA, and he's really making a case for himself that he doesn't, or he shouldn't be there at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite as bad as Michael Busch was, or as prominent as Michael Busch was, but it's still something where he's not going to prove very much more remaining at AAA.
He's younger. He's younger than Busch was at this point, too.
Or you let him stay there, let him keep tearing the cover off the ball, whatever that means in the PCL, and then you use him as trade bait, as some part of some sort of deal. But then that also, if you package him and CT3 and Uncle Stevie
contract,
Uncle Stevie, gives you a bunch of money and all this kind of stuff to make this happen, then you still really got to hope that Heyward works out and whatever. So
it's a platoon. They're going to platoon him against right-handed pitching, which he did well against last year, and then you just have Vargas against left-handed pitching.
By the way, who was it? AB said Boo Arns, so I had to throw that in there because it's Barnes.
It's a good one. A lot of people don't like this conversation, and that makes me love it so much more.
People, who was it? Where is it? Mario saying give CT3 one more month, then we could talk. Mario.
No.
You know what? I mean, I appreciate the love for Chris Taylor, but
a month, man. I'll give him a month for cheaper.
I mean, if he keeps playing the way he is, I think he started one game this month. One game. If we're talking about a month and he's going to get 5 at bats, okay, then you're just absolutely wasting a roster spot, and you're back down to 25-man roster. I guess that sort of works. We've been there, done that.
Hit lately either. His last at bat was on May 7th. It's been 9 days since he had an at bat. He last started a game,
and this is where it is more of a conversation about whether or not James Outman is going to be the guy to get option, because Chris Taylor is already non-existent.
Uncle Steve. Well, he's going to get optioned because they're both playing poor offensively, and one has an option, one doesn't.
Yeah, I saw somebody in the chat say that. I forgot who it was, so I apologize, but somebody said, he's hitting poorly and has an option, so he's going to be the guy, which is the smart play, of course, because this team loves hanging on to names and talent for as long as they can. Manny Man 5 Dodge, just they're both non-existent, and that's as good eating right there, guys. But anyways, we will know the answer to this probably tomorrow, maybe by Saturday at the latest. But Jason Heyward is ready to come back, and he is a veteran, so he will get a spot back on this active roster. And then we got to play the long game of, hey, what if he's bad? Hopefully he's not. Continues to hit the ball hard and all that kind of stuff, and then we kind of move forward. Moving forward here, let's look ahead quickly as we get into an hour 10 of show, because we have a good way of ability to talk or whatever it may be. But
that was my entire purpose. It was just to be able to talk.
Yes. No, it's also to no, that was about it.
That was about it, yeah.
And you help on Patreon.
Ooh, true.
Hell
true,
yeah. Killing the game on on Discord that you can get to as part of Patreon. But anyways, hey, the Reds are in town. 4-game series against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Glasnow, Paxton, Buehler starting along with TBD for the Dodgers. You got Brent Suter, Frankie Montas, former Dodger. Great. Frankie Montas, Graham Ashcraft, whatever that is, and also Hunter Green, who
Ashcraft has a good year, hasn't he?
I don't know. I think his is the worst ERA of all of them. He has like a 4.5 or something like that. But storylines for this series, yeah, it's a 4-game series. Yeah, it's the Reds. There's not really very much in the way of storylines outside of, hey, who's going to take or who's going to get dropped from the roster when Jason Heyward comes back. And the other storyline, in my opinion, is Walker Buehler. On Saturday, you have to take advantage of the situation. The Reds have not been very good. They're 18-25 or something like that. It has not been a good season for them. It's
2-16, I think. 2-14. They're 2 of their last 16.
Yeah, this is a team you need to beat up on. Walker Buehler needs to have a feel-good start in this series. So that's one of my big storylines in this one. And, just don't let the lowly Reds, same like I said a couple weeks ago about the Marlins, don't let the shitty Marlins sneak up on you. Don't let the lowly Reds sneak up on you. Alana was talking about it on DT earlier. Dodgers territory, for you guys that don't know, I do host another podcast, part of the Foul Territory family of podcasts, or whatever you want to say. But she was talking about the potential of this being a trap series. Do not let that happen. Agree or disagree, this has that taste of trap series?
No, I actually have a pretty good nose for trap series, and I don't think okay, define a trap series.
It's
is
a
it
trap.
Like you have to win 3, or is like a 2-2 split? Like, is that in the vein of trap series?
I don't have much of an opinion. They're all the same to me.
Okay, they're all the same. The 4-game series are really weird. They should get rid of them. Anyway, this doesn't smell to me like a trap series. I think this team is too deep into a long stretch of games that they're just kind of going about each game day by day. They're just trying to get into a routine. They're just trying to get to the end of this, when they play the Diamondbacks. It's at home. If this game was in Cincinnati, or this series was in Cincinnati, yeah, I could see this being a trap series. I do think the Dodgers ultimately probably take 3 of 1. So I think that Hunter Green start's going to be pretty tough. Dodgers can sometimes struggle against high velocity.
I mean, the ace is going TBD in that start on Sunday. This is also a team, we know the Reds are a team that has some speed when they're healthy. They have some pop in Elly De La Cruz. They have a little bit of the makings of teams that can give the Dodgers some struggles. However, this is a different Dodgers team than we've seen in recent years, so I do feel pretty confident. I feel better about the series. I think the Dodgers take the series. It won't be a split. It will be a take the series, in my opinion. Kevin Perez Allen says, if this is a trap series potential, would that make Dodger Stadium a trap house? Yes. Sure.
Kind of already, though, right?
And also, Kevin, you're a trap queen, I think. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
1738. Something like that, right?
So I got Dodgers taking 3. What do you got?
I have the Dodgers taking 3. I think that Hunter Green start's gonna be kind of tough, but that
Dodgers
means they're
get
gonna
swept.
lose. That means they're gonna lose to Frankie Montas on Friday. Is what that means.
That'd be funny. Montas just throws a gem.
Of course he is. Come on, everybody loves getting their revenge games against the Dodgers.
It was a revenge. This was how long ago? 6 years ago now.
Yeah,
and he never pitched a big league game for the team, and we got Dick Mountain out of it.
Who's the old cat? He wasn't a catcher. Oh God, he played for the Yankees for a little bit. And he just all he does when he plays against the Dodgers is just hit nukes. It's really annoying.
I mean, I know
I will
players.
if I can find it, I will. But it was just absurd.
Dodgers have a way of doing that. But, guys, it's probably about time to hit that wrap it up button, as we are at the moment about 30 minutes before first pitch. Hopefully you guys that are at Dodger Stadium got your bobbleheads and you didn't have to bleed very much to do that, because I remain very, very concerned for people's being there at Dodger Stadium. And I hope all of the accounts that record Dodger Stadium fights and all that kind of stuff, I hope they get some good footage for us on Instagram to watch, because that's always fun. Violence is fun, guys. That's why you pay to watch UFC and boxing.
That's what I'm here for. That's the only reason I went to a hockey game one time.
Yeah, that's like they say in hockey. Let's do that hockey.
Willie Calhoun. He's not an infielder. He was in the Dodgers organization for a little bit, and
Willie Calhoun was the centerpiece, was the 1-for-1 trade piece that got Yu Darvish to the Dodgers in 2017.
Perfect. Whenever he plays the Dodgers, he hits a bomb. It's crazy. Every single time that guy comes with the bat, he hits a fucking nuke.
Well,
Also, you Darvish not worth it.
no, I mean he did pretty good for the team. It's not in Game 7, but Goat Yachty says producer Kevin goes yard tonight. He's also in the Discord chat. He was talking about we need to get a rookie producer Kevin card because he wants to make playing cards of us, and I think that was just really good. That got me. Producer Kevin rookie card. You guys can get your paws on one in your mind. But anyways, guys, thank you so damn much for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the great questions, comments, and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for the super chats. You're fucking cool as I drop another one if you guys send a super chat, but you're also cool either way if you just stayed here and hung out with us. Be sure to tube in to Dodgers Territory on Monday and Thursdays. This is another show I co-host alongside Alana Rizzo, former Dodgers reporter, now Dodgers reporter again, so that happens every Monday and Thursday. Got to thank our Patreon supporters for helping support the channel. Again, I'll remind you guys, if you are looking for a different way to help support the channel, support independent Dodgers coverage and all that kind of jazz for much less than the price of a Michelada at a game, check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/realfrg. The link is in the description. There's a few perks in there that might make it more enjoyable for you, but otherwise it should make it more enjoyable for you in your heart and soul or something like that. Gotta shout out the mods for doing a kick-ass job. Gotta shout out producer Kevin for doing a kick-ass job of existing and talking alongside me. Follow him on the X at Skinner7Kevin, which I'm finally learning to let roll off the tongue.
And I'm going to change it this weekend just to mess with you.
Son of a bitch. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. Guys, check it out on your mobile or on your other stuff. People are dropping the Dodgers Territory handle. Subscribe to Dodgers Territory. We have a new YouTube channel. We can't start monetizing over there until we get to 1,000 subscribers, so please do help Alana and I make $1 or $2 while we keep bringing some content y'all's way. I am Real FRG on all of the social media places. The links are in the description. I hope we earned a thumbs up on this on the way out, and we will see you on the next one of these. Okay, bye.